All right, so this is a educational type of video, but I just want to toss this out there. You know what I'm saying? Had this one little smart mark telling me, oh, you're a mark because your ass use wrestling insider terms like kayfabe and all that bullshit. I'm like, look here, bitch. I'm actually in pro wrestling school training to be a fucking wrestler. So how about you ask me that once again? Because if I'm in the wrestling school, that means I know what the fuck I'm talking about, bitch. It's like, look, bruh, don't be jealous because I got way more charisma than half of your fucking AEW motherfucking roster. Don't be jealous because I'm bigger and look better than half of the fucking AEW roster. That's all I'm saying, bitch. But let's get back to the motherfucking video, huh? So, when I was watching Raw last night, right? I saw something very, very interesting. Let's talk about what's his name? Austin Theory. So he actually came out on Raw and nobody knew who he was. He got no reaction, right? Even though he is on NXT television, on national TV every week, right? So the reason I brought that up is because you would think, damn, don't y'all know who he is? Aren't y'all the same fans that watch him? But no, they are not. That just goes to show you that NXT, that audience is more of a niche audience. It's more of a smart mark niche audience, right? Only they knew who he was. All the hardcore smart marks knew who he was. But when it comes to Raw, bruh, their audience is like, I would say, maybe 90% casuals. Let's just be real. Their audience is more so 90% casuals. So they know who he was. But at least the WWE gave you some kind of tiny info on him last Friday when he was announced that he was drafted to Raw. So they gave us his stats. So they kind of gave you tiny info on who the fuck he was, right? So at least they gave you some kind of info on who the guy was. So you can't say, who is this guy? You can't say that because we saw him get drafted on motherfucking SmackDown. So you can't really say that shit. The reason I brought him up is it's a tale of two cities, right? So let's talk about AEW. They have a bad habit of doing this shit. It's an awful, terrible habit. And it's the reason that company will never grow. It would never be bigger than the WWE. It would never be competition. Never. Ever, 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 never. So I was watching All Out, like last month. They brought out some dude from Japan. I think his name is fucking Suzuki. And how the fuck we supposed to know who the fuck he is? If I'm watching AEW for the first time, how the fuck am I supposed to know who the fuck he is? Right? Before that, I didn't really see him making any appearances. So how dare you bring him out and your ass gonna assume that everybody knows who he is? But guess what? Most people knew who he was, right? Because AEW only caters to a small niche, smart mark, neckbeard audience. That's all they cater to. That's why they knew who the fuck he was. That's stupid. That's dumb. Hold on. New Japan is not on national television in the United States. And you bring him out like he's Austin, like he's The Rock, like he's Edge, like we supposed to know who the fuck he is. You did think about that because you know your audience knows who he is because you only cater to the New Japan audience. You only cater to your indie smart mark neckbeard audience. That's all you fucking cater to. That's why you would never grow. You over here bringing out you over bringing out niggas from Japan who are basically indie guys to me. You are bringing them out like they're big stars because you know your little smaller audience knows who they are because you only cater to your audience from the indies. You only cater to your audience from New Japan. That's a bad thing, bruh. That's a bad thing. I mean, that means you're not growing anything. If you are bringing out guys from New Japan with no vignettes, you ain't giving us no packages. You were giving us no packages of fucking promos on who these guys are. You're just bringing them out. So we supposed to know who the fuck Kenta is? I'm supposed to know who the fuck Luther is? Dudes like that? Jon Moxley, he's wrestling all these guys from New Japan. But you are getting away with it though. You are getting away with it because your audience knows who they are. Your audience in particular. Your indie smart mark audience that you stole from ROH, that you stole from New Japan. Okay, so let's talk about Karrion Kross. Haven't you noticed every time he comes out, he doesn't really get a huge pop. He don't get no huge reaction because nobody knows who he is, right? That's Triple H's fault. And here's why. For the past 4 or 5 years, Triple H only caters to the indie smart mark audience that only cares about work rate. He only catered to the PWG audience. He only catered to the fucking ROH audience. He only catered to the New Japan audience. Haven't you noticed that? That all these years in NXT, they look very different from SmackDown and Raw because Triple H was only catering to the smart mark audience, the work rate audience, the New Japan audience. That's all he was catering to. He wasn't growing his audience to the point where a casual would like that kind of style of a wrestling show. He wasn't catering to that. He was just catering to the fucking smarks. That's what he was catering to. That's why NXT wasn't growing. That's why every time you see a call up from NXT on Raw, SmackDown, they get no pops. Nobody knows who the fuck they are. Because casuals don't watch NXT for that reason. Because they are not the target audience. The target audience is the indie guy, is the indie smart marks. That's the fucking target audience. So here's why. Every time Triple H brought in a guy from ROH, every time he brought in a guy from PWG or New Japan, right? They always got huge reactions on NXT, whether at takeovers, etc. They always got huge reactions, right? But how come they don't get those reactions on Raw or SmackDown? Because both audience are like apples and oranges. They are just different. So how can Adam Cole get a huge pop on NXT television, but not on SmackDown? Because the audience on SmackDown, they don't like wrestlers who look like Adam Cole. They are not into wrestlers who look like that or work like that. That's not their style. I mean, bruh, let me get this straight. So Cole, right? Let's talk about Adam Cole more. So a guy like Adam Cole can get a huge pop on Dynamite, but not on SmackDown. And yes, bitch, he was on SmackDown. He wrestled Daniel Bryan on SmackDown, I think, last year. And guess what? He got no reaction. Nobody said boom. Nobody said Adam Cole baby with him in the audience. Nobody knew who he was. Nobody gave a shit about him. Because that audience is different. That's not a smart mark audience. That's a casual audience who is tougher to impress. When it comes to Dynamite, that of course that audience knew who the fuck he was. You kidding me? Have you seen the EVPs? All those guys came from ROH in New Japan. That's where Cole came from. So of course, the AEW audience is going to treat Cole like a god. That's not impressive. Of course, Cole is over with the smarks, with the ROH fanboys and the fucking Japan fanboys. That's not impressive. He is that audience. Come on, man. I always knew Adam Cole was AEW bound. I mean, who cares? That's his audience. It's a tale of two different cities. Tony Khan only caters to the smart mark audience, which means he's kind of similar to Triple H. Like, Triple H did nothing to grow the NXT audience. He just wanted to just live in that small little bubble. And I feel like that hurt his wrestlers once they got caught up, because all he was doing was listening to the reaction that his little smart audience was giving all his wrestlers that he signed from the indies. So he thought, okay, maybe that would translate to the main roster, and it didn't. Okay, Andrade, he is a smart mark wrestler. Casuals don't relate to him. Same as Aleister Black. Same as Neville. They didn't translate to the main roster because Triple H was only catering to his audience in NXT. He wasn't getting them ready for the main roster. That's why they failed. And that's why the current NXT 2.0 will be fucking successful. Because Vince, he's actually getting these guys ready for the main roster. He's not catering to a fucking audience. He's trying to grow these guys. He's trying to usher in a main roster style in NXT, because that's where they're going. They're going to the main roster. So why are you catering to a smart mark audience if you're Triple H? That's why NXT didn't grow. So, and here's what I mean by AEW would never be bigger than a WWE. Because I would say Raw averages 1.8 to 2 million, same as SmackDown. So what is that, like 800,000 more people that watch that show more than Dynamite? So Tony Khan, what are you going to do to steal those fans away? Bruh, that's like 800,000 more people that don't like your product, that are not into your product. Why is that? Fuck the demo. That's not growing your audience. That shit is not growing your fucking audience. What are you going to do to steal those 800K people away? What, just continue to catering to your smart audience? I mean, there was a lot of people that said, wow, Raw audience don't know who Theory is. Yeah, because he was on a show that audience was not watching. He was on a show that only the smarks were watching. Most smarks don't watch Raw. You see what I'm saying now? Do you get what I'm saying now? Smart marks don't watch Raw or fucking SmackDown. Smart marks, they watch NXT, Dynamite, Rampage. Look. The casual audience will always outweigh the smart mark audience. Those are facts. I'm not lying. Those are facts. Look it up. The casual audience will always outweigh the smarks. Always. That's why you ain't growing your audience. Those 800K people that are watching Raw more, those are casuals who don't like your product. They are not your target. They are not your target audience. They are not your target audience. That's why you ain't growing. You see, what made the Monday Night War special was because they were targeting the same audience. You are not targeting the audience that the WWE is targeting. Vince, he don't care what demo is watching. His ass, he wants everybody watching. He don't care what demo is watching. He cares about everybody watching. He wants everybody watching. But you, Tony Khan, you only want your smart mark bubble audience watching. And that's why you will never grow. That's why you will always be stuck at 900K, 1.1, 1.2. You ain't growing. That's why Rampage is shit. That's why Rampage would never grow, because it's all about wrestling. It's all about wrestling. And there was this one little comment I seen on a video. This asshole said, wow, it's great to see a show not start off with a 20-minute promo. I'm like, look here, bitch. The Attitude Era, they lived off 20-minute promos. That's what was drawn, because those guys knew how to talk. Of course, if you can cut a promo for 20 minutes, that's going to get boring to watch eventually. But that was always the same formula for fucking years, and it always worked. Nigga, if you want to watch a wrestling show with no promos, just all wrestling, just watch ROH. That's all. Watch ROH. How's that new? Oh, AEW, they always start their shows with matches. Yeah, bitch, that's why they ain't growing. Yeah, bitch, that's why you ain't growing shit. Nobody cares about the matches. Nobody cares. Who cares if Adam Cole has a good match with what's his name, Jack Perry? I don't care. You didn't draw on Rampage with that match. You ain't drawing shit. You know why? You're catering to your audience. You're not trying to grow it. Smarks would not grow your audience. Casuals only grow your audience. That's why I compared Austin Theory to fucking what's the dude name? Suzuki. That's why I compared it to. Tale of two different cities. So hold on. The Raw audience don't know who Theory is, but the AEW audience knows who Suzuki is. Even though before that, he never made no national TV appearances. But how come they know who he is? But the Raw audience don't know who Austin Theory is. You see what I'm saying? Casuals didn't know who Austin Theory is because they don't watch NXT. But the AEW audience knows who Suzuki is, with no vignettes, no promos, no advertisements, but they know who the fuck he was? Huh? Because you're only catering to your audience. Let's say it was my first time watching AEW, and I'm seeing this Asian guy on my TV, and the crowd is giving him huge pops. I'm like, I don't know who this guy is. I'm like, huh? Who is he? Oh, I'm not a smart. That's why I don't know who he is, right? Because I'm not a smart mark. I don't know who he is. So, which means I'm not your target demographic. Because I'm a casual, right? I'm not your target demo. That's why I don't know who these guys are that Jon Moxley keeps on wrestling. Because I'm not your target audience. You're only targeting your little niche audience, which means you would never grow. Tell me this. All the guys that Dean Ambrose keeps on wrestling on Dynamite, what if all these Japan guys he keeps on wrestling, what if they showed up on Monday Night Raw? Would we know who they are? Would that crowd know who they are? You get me now, right? If fucking Suzuki showed up on Raw wrestling, I don't know, Jeff Hardy, would he get a huge pop from that Raw audience? How? Cross don't get no pops. Theory don't get no pops. So why would he get a pop more than them? Oh, I see. Because the audience don't know who he is. They don't watch New Japan. So why would Vince McMahon book him on his show if his audience don't know who the fuck he is? You get me now, right? Tony Khan books all these guys because he knows his little smart mark audience knows who they are. Which means you ain't growing shit. You would never grow. Because you keep booking guys that only your audience, only your target audience knows. That's why you would never grow. You would never be bigger than the WWE. Never. Vince McMahon would never do that. He would never bring in Luther. He would never bring in guys for the indies. He would never give a push to a guy like a Dante Martin. You know why? He knows his audience don't know who the fuck they are. If his audience don't know who the fuck Karrion Kross is, why the fuck they gonna know who fucking these guys are that Dean Ambrose keeps on wrestling? You see? It's a tale of two totally different promotions. You get it now? Do you finally understand me now? Tony Khan keeps on bringing all these Smart Mark favorite wrestlers around the world. He gives them no video packages. He gives them no promos because he knows he doesn't have to do it. His little small niche audience knows who they are. You see what I'm saying? So you telling me a guy like Jay White or Okada would get a huge pop on SmackDown if they were to show up with no videos, no promos, no advertisements? You think that audience will pop for them? Of course not. Nigga, if they don't know who Austin Theory is, they don't know who the fuck Jay White is. You feel me? If Jay White showed up on Dynamite, he would get a huge pop. Because that audience is the same audience that Jay White wrestles from every week. You see? AEW will never grow. Never. Ever. This is not a war. It would never be a war. You know why? Because AEW is not doing their job. You ain't growing shit. You are very complacent. You are lazy. Who the fuck is Dante Martin? Who the fuck is Daniel Garcia? Nigga, Jim Cornette said the same thing. Who the fuck is Daniel Garcia and why is he in the main events on every Rampage? I don't know who he is. Where's the vignettes? Where's the videos? Who is he? Where did he come from? Huh? Who the fuck is 2.0? I don't know who they are. Hell, who are they? Why are they in main events with fucking Sting? How the hell do you go from being jobbers in NXT to wrestling Sting? Huh? Let that sink in. 2.0 could get on TV in NXT. They were jobbers, right? They went from that to being in main events with fucking Sting. Where do they do this at? And you are saying you are competition to the WWE? You are putting their jobbers on your TV in main events. And they are supposed to fear you? Bitch. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. That's bullshit. Get the fuck out of here, man. You are not competition. Who the fuck is 2.0? I don't know who these guys are. Like what I said. Tale of two different cities. Austin Theory wrestles on the same network as Raw for the past 2 years in NXT. Guess what? The audience didn't know who he was when he attacked Jeff Hardy. What does that tell you? Casuals don't watch NXT. How big is the smart mark audience? Let's just be real. I'm gonna take a wild guess. The mark audience is probably what AEW is. What do they average? Like 900K, 1 million. Those are all the smart marks. That's all. Those are all the fans that are left. How many smart mark fans are there in the world? There's only 1 million, probably. I'm going to say 900K. And guess what? They all watch AEW. They all watch AEW. Which means if that's your ceiling, then you ain't going to grow. If that's your ceiling. Nigga, the smart mark audience will never be bigger than the casuals. So stop saying you're better than a WWE and they are desperate, they are scared. Nigga, you are ROH on a bigger budget. That's all. Just face facts. Ring of Honor wishes they had a billionaire backing. Okay? Because they would be AEW. That's what they are. Ring of Honor wishes that they had Tony Khan running their damn company. What's the big deal about AEW? What's the big deal? Nigga, watch ROH. It's the same thing, just on a lesser budget. It's the same thing, bro. Everything is only focused everything is only focused on the matches, which means you're basically ROH on a bigger budget on a bigger network. And ROH, they would never grow. But man, that's all. That's all. I'm done.